Some names are whispered in training halls, others are etched into history. Dr. Odette Russell, known as Sidu, isn't just a Grandmaster, she's a protector, a strategist, and one of the most respected voices in women's self-protection, self-defense today. The Queen of Swam. Her martial arts journey began in 1971, but it wasn't until 1980, training under Sidu Abdul Kabir, that she forged a system rooted in reality, discipline, and survival. With more than 40 years of training, Sidu rose to 9th degree black belt, earned the title of Grandmaster, and became the designated inheritor of the Swam Martial Arts Academy, a system built not for sport, but for real-world confrontation. In 1998, she founded Sister Warriors Against Madness, a women's division dedicated to self-protection, mental resilience, and personal empowerment. For decades, she has trained and mentored hundreds of women to recognize danger, respond decisively, and reclaim control. Backed by a PhD in health psychology, her teachings bridge the mind, body, and the realities of violence. Respected worldwide, featured in leading martial arts publications, a member of the World Headmasters Soke Council, and a Marshall Mays Modern Combatives alumnus. If your safety matters, this is the name you need to know. Dr. Odette Russell, Sidu, the Queen of Swam, welcome.
Okay, so we're going to utilize my friend here, Bob, for me to explain 3 things. This is all about hand defense. I'm going to teach you where to strike, how to strike, and what mechanical dysfunction occurs to the body when you strike that way. I always like to start off with the eyes, okay? So what protects the eye? It's only a piece of skin, and that's called the eyelid. It's not a bone, it's not a joint, it's not a ligament, it's only the eyelid. And that, I think, is an amazing area to strike if you have to defend yourself. Okay, remember, these strikes are only for legitimate self-defense. All right, if you can avoid the situation, please do that. That's the best scenario. So I would use 2 fingers together, slightly bent, poke in the eye, 2 fingers apart, slightly bent, try to poke in both eyes. And my favorite, use the thumb, go against the nose, and have your 4 fingers grab into the ears, and you can see his head is reacting to it. And what occurs with that is blindness. All right, let's move to the nose. I'm gonna take my fist, make sure your thumb is in, hit down like a hammer, and punch down the bridge of the nose. By punching down the bridge of the nose, you cause it to break. If he's a bleeder, he will bleed. His eyes will tear. It's very difficult for him to chase you if his eyes are tearing, and most likely his reaction is like this. Going under the nose, called the scepter, I have my palm. I'll go upward. You see how I use my body to put that power in. I can also use the blade of my hand and hit up. What this does, this breaks this part of the nose as well as possibly the teeth and cause bleeding as well. All right. Now moving on, I'm not interested in hitting hard parts of his body with my fist, like his forehead, or even interested in his cheek. But if I was to try to hit his chin, I would use an elbow. Make sure the elbow is tight, okay? And I would do that to cause his head to move around, or maybe even cause him to get knocked out. I'm not interested in the jawbone unless I'm using my cell phone, and I'll show you that later. If I want to debilitate him, maybe rupture his eardrum, I would pop his ears, and I would use a cup, not flat, but a cup. And you just try it on yourself. Don't go too hard. You can feel the pressure. And I would hit the ears. This could cause disruption with the hearing as well as possible bleeding. If I go down to the neck and I want to hit the neck that way, this could be fatal. If I hit the side of the neck, I could possibly be rupturing what is called the blood vessels, the carotid, or the jugular. If I hit the throat, I could possibly rupture the air passageway. I'm not really interested that much into punching the throat, but I like to have my hand flat. I call this the leopard strike. I'm not hitting with my fingers because I would hurt my fingers. I'm hitting with the knuckles. And I hit here. Or I can use the web of my hand, hit here, like this, or use the eagle claw and just crush. The larynx right here. Okay, like I said, this is fatal. Let me just move right here into the temple. If I was just to punch the temple, all right, I would bruise that area. But if I was to use the corner of the cell phone, which I'll show you later, or my elbow, if it has a nice point, and I break open the temple area, that seam, there's an artery behind it, that is fatal. Okay, let's move down here. This is the collarbone area. Now, not all of the collarbone area is equal. This closest to the ear is the weakest part. I want to use that fist again, like I used that I broke the nose. Go straight down to the collarbone, break the collarbone right here. Now, if I hit the collarbone closer to the shoulder, it won't break as easy, so you want to go straight down the ear, okay? The mechanical dysfunction that would occur is he won't be able to lift his hand, all right? So the other thing that predators, we're trying to turn a predator into a prey. Once he becomes a prey, he wants to flee. That's his goal, is to get away. So most likely, the average person, when they're injured, they grab onto that area that has been injured. And it's a psychological thing of, I'm trying to protect it from getting hurt again. And so if you break this part and he grabs at it, that's two of his hands that now is not functioning. One that's holding the area and one that's unable to lift up. Majority of attacks against women, whether it's someone they know or someone they don't know, are chokes. And so we're going to practice how to try to do the best that you can to not cause pressure around the neck. So as they attempt to choke, my reaction is to do what we call the turtleneck. So we're going to go back and forth. And again, this teaches reliability through repetition. So you're going to choke me. I come in, right? I'm going to choke at you, right? You're going to choke at me, right? I'm going to choke at you, right? So what we're doing is we're just developing that reflexes of keeping the shoulder up. So now I'm going to, as she's choking me, a normal choke will be a push. A choke isn't just like don't push. A choke isn't just like this. Okay? A choke is a push. He's pushing you or he's shaking. All right? So in this case, I want to show you the first level of defense to get him to loosen this grip. So as he's choking me, don't push. As he's choking me, if I do this, this will tighten the grip. So you notice my voice changed. So what I want to do is try to get this grip. And if I do this, this is not going to work. My hands are not strong enough. Okay, if he's too tall, this is not going to work either. Or it might work, but I'm going to go down here. So I'm either going to use my two fingers, go into the armpit, which causes a reaction, or I'm going to grab his nipples and turn, which will cause a reaction, or I'm going to do an eagle claw and rip down the tricep. Okay, so from there, I'm just going to focus on the armpit. Now, armpit will work if his arms are not that long. Then I come here, up and hit. So in slow motion, what I did, she came here, I loosened up the grip, I put my hand in a blade position, chopped the groin. The reaction might be this way, elbow up, and hammer fist down to the nose. And that should be all I need to get away. Simple stuff, okay? So now we'll take it to another level. Okay, you're choking. Hit, pop, hit, come in, bring it down. Move around. There are those times it's not appropriate the way a predator might touch you. It's someone that you know, so a friend of a friend of your husband, a friend of your mate, a friend of your wife, or even a family member, a co-worker, and they touch you in a creepy way, and it's trying to build up that grooming process that they're leading to something even more detrimental. So here is, say I'm at an office environment, and I have this creepy coworker that feels he needs to touch me.
Hey, I was going to check on your numbers, see how we did last month.
I'm okay. Now this particular reaction gives him the invitation to keep going. I'm feeling like it's not ladylike for me to push him off, but maybe what I can do is just something like this. Just go downstroke and hold his hands. How you doing? It's good to see you. I'll get those numbers for you in a moment, okay? You take care.
Oh,
and so
okay.
I wasn't aggressive. I didn't show like I'm not a team player. But let's say he didn't get the hints with that, and he continued to, the next time I see him,
So those numbers you got me, I wanted to check it.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to work on that, okay? I'm so sorry. I was supposed to do it. So if you notice, my hands were even a little more aggressive, where I pushed it towards him. And I let him know I'm looking him in the eye. I'm still talking business, but my face and my features are saying barriers. Stop putting your hands on me. Okay? So what about if it's a family member? Everybody loves, everybody trusts, and he puts his hands over my shoulder.
I haven't seen you in like years.
Yeah, hey, how are you? So good to see you. Did you see Aunt Myrtle? She's over there.
Who? Wait,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that could be one way. Let's say he doesn't get the habit and he goes another way.
It's been like 5 years.
Hey, how you doing? It's the same thing. Nothing's changed, okay? Your verbiage to them is calm, but your eyes is like, get off of me, okay? And let's say he just doesn't get the hint.
I just had a couple good drinks over there. You want to join?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I hit you? Are you okay?
I'm
Oh my God, I am so sorry. That was just a reflex. You know, I started training martial arts, and you know, I'm just nasty with the elbow. You might want to not do that
check
again.
out the drinks again.
I still love you. So I think he got the point at that point. And then let's say he didn't get the point, and he put his hands around my waist.
You know, I was talking about before.
Man, guess what? Remember I told you about breaking the fingers and getting the water and getting the rent?
Auntie!
Okay, well maybe that was a little too much. But anyway, the point is, he won't be doing that again. As you can see, I have a cell phone in my hand. Let me tell you, this is one of the most amazing self-defense tools. Now, how to hold the cell phone? Just like how you hold it if you were having it against your face. And just basically, you want it in the web of your hand. You want to hold it tight. You want to make sure the front and back is exposed. All right. Now, I'm not going to go into the dynamics of what happens to the body. But remember, I was telling you that it can hit the front of the phone, the back of the phone, up this way, hit the corners. Remember we talked about the temple? How about the eye? All right. Even hit the air, come in, the collarbone. All right. You want to grab the nipple, hit the nipple, grab the penis, hit the kneecap, go up the armpit, hit the elbows, even break the fingers. Have fun. The cell phone. Now we want to show you a drill.
Drilling matters because under stress, you don't think, you react. Repetition is what makes the right response automatic. Keep that in mind, folks.
Now, with this, I will not discriminate where I want to hit. It's okay for me to hit his hard body. It's okay for me to hit his joints. It's okay for me to hit anywhere that I feel that will create mechanical dysfunction. I want to show you a common technique, an attack against a woman, and that's with a hair pull. And it's most likely they're going to yank it down. And I want to show that when you pull my hair, right, I'm not going to fight against it, okay, because that's going to hurt me. I'm going to flow with it. But I'm also going to use my cell phone, okay, to at least control the scenario, all right? So he grabs my hair, he yanks it down, hit here, up here, hit there. Real simple. I'll slow it down for you. Grabs my hair, I hit down here. While I'm hit at the groin, and I'm going to use the corner, then I hit up the head, then break the nose, okay? If he's a lot taller, just hit up the head, and I could reach the eye. Regardless how tall he is, I can get to his eye at the corner, all right? So now, I want to go live. Ah! 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 So if you notice, I screamed through the attack. The scream does two things. Number one, it stops me from freezing. Number two, it might even alarm him. And number three, it draws attention. So within our self-defense classes, yes, I have my students scream. And in normal classes, we do the kiosks, but in the self-defense classes where I'm teaching women that I only have for an hour, I take a few minutes and tell them to scream. Believe it or not, people say, oh, I know how to scream, until they're told to scream, then they don't know how to scream. We have to practice screaming. Specifically, women have to practice screaming. Where do you go to practice your screaming? You could do it in the shower, or you could do it in the car with the music going and the windows up so you don't look that crazy, okay? But practice screaming. Remember, repetition creates reliability.
Self-protection is not about fear. It's awareness, preparation, and responsibility. For women, self-defense is not about proving strength. It's about preserving life, dignity, and choice. The world doesn't always give warnings, and real safety doesn't come with hope alone. It comes from knowledge, training, and mindset. That's why who you learn from matters. Dr. Odette Russell, Sidu, stands apart because her work is rooted in reality. Decades of experience, a deep understanding of mind and body, and a lifelong commitment to empowering women not just to defend themselves, but to recognize danger, trust in their instincts, and respond with confidence. She doesn't teach theory. She teaches survival. She doesn't offer shortcuts. She builds resilience. Her legacy isn't measured in titles alone. It's measured in the lives she's impacted, the women she's strengthened, and the standard that she continues to set in women's self-protection, self-defense. To everyone watching, thank you for taking this seriously. Thank you for investing in knowledge, and thank you for choosing empowerment over complacency. Stay aware, stay prepared, and stay safe.
Welcome to Martial Arts Masters Magazine. This is one of our feature articles released in 2025 special edition featuring Joe Louis, interview by Dr. Jerry Beasley. This issue is available on paper at Amazon Print on Demand and digital download at mastersmag.com.
Cover story: Joe Louis, the JKD Premier Fighter. In 1967, the JKD names that we know and respect today are Bruce Lee, Ted Wong, Dan Inosanto, and others went virtually unnoticed, and although Lee had gained some identity as a fictional martial arts hero, his true celebrity status among martial artists was at best only beginning. The gods of the arena, in the late 1960s were the tournament champions best known as the Golden Boys of a bygone era. Joe Louis, Chuck Norris, and Mike Stone were champions whose reputations as effective fighters were seldom questioned. Louis, Norris, and Stone each worked with Bruce Lee, but it was Louis who spent the most time and unquestionably gained the more innovative insights from Lee. Before and after he created full-contact karate/kickboxing in 1970, Louis was the most feared fighter of his day. It was because of his tournament reputation that Lee approached Louis with the idea of the two working together. And for the next few years, the two enjoyed a close relationship. When Joe worked with Bruce, according to Ted Wong, Bruce would teach a technique and theory, and Joe would put it to the test, earning Joe the title, Bruce Lee's Test Tube. In 1970 and 1971, Joe defended his kickboxing title 10 times, with 10 wins by the KO. No opponent made it past the second round. At the time, Joe Louis was the most dominant fighter in his field and was the only martial arts competitor to be featured in Sports Illustrated. The circumstances and effects of Louis' personal involvement with Bruce Lee have as yet never been fully explained. In this interview, originally conducted in the 1980s, we asked Joe about his work with Bruce Lee. The readers will learn how Louis' friendship with Lee both began and ended.
Here are some of the questions asked during the interview. Question: when did you first hear of Bruce Lee? Question: did you pay him? Question: he could have entered tournaments and built a reputation like you did. Question: is that what you learned at the workouts? Question: but you never sparred with him? Question: did he teach you the concept of the angles of attack that you made famous? Question: are you saying he showed you kung fu techniques to explain his ideas and that you did not relate to the kung fu? Question: why do you think Bruce was so interested in fighting arts if he, as you say, did little competitive fighting? Was it that kung fu wasn't popular in the 1960s? Question: do you consider yourself a Bruce Lee student? Question: when you started the kickboxing in 1970, were you still in contact with Bruce Lee? Question: Bruce Lee closed his Jeet Kune Do school in January 1970. That same month, you created the first kickboxing match. Where did you get the idea to fight full contact? Question: do you feel like Bruce Lee showed you a lot about fighting?
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to our channel. To read more about Joe Louis's answers from the interview, please visit mastersmag.com. There you will find purchase options including paper magazine and digital downloads.
Before the world had form, two deities, Izangani and Izanganai, stood at the gateway of the heavens. Looking down, they thrust their jeweled spear. Upon withdrawing it, drips of brine collected at its tip, falling back down into the swirling mists below, forming the islands now known as the Japans. And so it was, according to the Nihon Shoki, the ancient chronicles of Japan. It's fascinating myth and mythology that is presented in better understanding a culture far from here. And so too, like the ancient chronicles of Japan, so too does Okinawa during the old Ryukyu Kingdom also have a secret book of knowledge regarding our tradition of Karate-do. It is called the Bubishi. Hi, my name is Patrick McCarthy, and it's a pleasure to bring this presentation to you today regarding the practices of the Bubishi. And now what I'd like to talk about is we're just going to walk you through the exercise and talk about some of the techniques that we're going to do, okay? All right, so we've come up And we've brought these hands up into this position. You see, it's kind of like if you were, say, someone who understood Sanshin, for example. You know how you bring your hands out? You notice there's that V kind of configuration. We refer to this as the hourglass. I'll talk to you about bridging, checking and bridging later, but for the time being, all we're doing is we're bringing the hands straight up like this from here. You see how on the side is we're bringing them straight up like this from here. Big inhalation, and then we're rotating the bridge or rotating the palm. Hey, welcome back. Thank you for joining me in this next presentation. This particular DVD is going to focus upon Bunkai Jitsu, or the term is a term using Japanese grammar or grammatical composition, and it refers to the analyses of something in this particular situation, grammar. Our situation today is going to mean the analysis of techniques. One of the issues with regards to Bunkai Jitsu over this last generation or so is the effort to analyze the movements and then try to figure out or reverse engineer the application practice. Fortunately, having the opportunity to come from old school practices, my teacher Kinjo Hiroshi, who just died sadly a few years ago at nearly 95 years old, had a wonderful lineage. Impeccable, if I can use that particular term. His principal teachers were Hanashiro Chomo, Gusukuma Shimpan, Tokuro Ambun, Oshiro Chojo, and of course he'd had the opportunity to work and mingle and mix with some of the other pioneers, Miyagi Chojin, Motobu Choki, and so on. The reason I mention that is merely to help better understand that prior to the development of modern karate, before Itosu Anko took the secret tradition out from the closed doors of ambiguity and introduced it into the, modified it and then introduced it into the school system to be used as a cultural recreation or an adjunct to focus on physical fitness and social conformity, the tradition had another side to it that we have not really seen in the modern interpretation, and that was the two-person drills. What I mean to say by the two-person drills is on the attacking side of the two-person drill was what I refer to as the habitual acts of physical violence. That contextual premise is the baseline foundation from which the application practices would become a means. And that by taking these conceptual philosophies or these tiny template rituals that address these particular acts of physical violence, in their solo reenactment form and linking them together into a geometrical configuration, we arrive at something greater than the sum total of its individual parts, and therein lies kata. So I like to say from the onset that kata by itself was never meant to teach you anything, in spite of the wonderfully beneficial assets it has, physical, philosophical, spiritual, meditative, and so on, a form of meditation and motion, if you will. The essence was, to culminate the lesson, you should have already learned in a two-person practice. That is the most important part. And today, the focus is on Bunkai Jitsu, with the focus being upon the habitual act of physical violence. We'll walk through the practices, and then at the end I'll show you the solo representation of the template so that you can identify it. This particular DVD will focus largely on those Shaolin Southern Chinese-based application practices that were cultivated in and around the old castle capital district of Shuri during the Okinawa's old Ryukyu kingdom period. These formed the foundations of what has learned, which in 1927, largely due to Kano Jigoro's visit to Okinawa in January, became known as Shurite. And from the Shurite traditions, we have the Shorin-ryu, many branches and schools of that interpretation. And certainly also that gave birth to at least part of Shotokan. And of course, as we know, at least a significant portion of Shitoryu karate by Mabuni Kemwa sensei. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
The Naginata is a Japanese polearm with a long, curved blade, first appearing during the Heian period and evolving from earlier spears like the hoko or tiboko. It became a primary weapon for samurai and warrior monks in feudal Japan.
Katana is normally don't change. Because short and smaller, that's more easy. No, it's a long time, take a long time. Kenjutsu is the same grip. Boom. But Naginata is change. Like this. Cut. Now it's so kesagi, just kesagi. Kesa, change grip. Kesa, change grip. Kesa, change grip. Kesa, change grip. Yoko barai. Cut, change. Cut, change. Cut. Kiriyage. Cut, change. Cut, change. Cut. And watch your foot work too. Kesagi. Kesa, change. Kesa, change. Kesa, change.